Society rewards confusion because confused people are easier to control and more profitable to exploit. When you don't know what you want, corporations can tell you what to want. When you're unclear about your direction, employers can use your desperation to underpay you. When you lack clear goals, politicians can manipulate your fears to gain your vote. The system is designed to keep you spinning your wheels, jumping from opportunity to opportunity, never staying focused long enough to build real wealth or independence. Getting crystal clear about your goals isn't just about personal success. It's an act of rebellion against a culture that profits from your confusion and benefits from your lack of direction. Let me tell you something that will change your life forever. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is not talent, it's not luck, it's not even hard work, though that matters. The difference is clarity. Successful people know exactly what they want, when they want it, and why they want it. Unsuccessful people live in a fog. You see, most people are like ships without a compass, drifting wherever the current takes them. They wake up each morning and react to whatever comes their way. They have dreams, sure, but dreams are not goals. Dreams are fuzzy. Dreams are someday. Dreams are maybe. Goals are different. Goals are specific. I want you to think about this. When you go to the airport, you don't walk up to the counter and say, "I'd like a ticket to somewhere nice." You tell them exactly where you want to go. You say, "I want to go to Chicago on flight 447, leaving at 3:15 p.m. That's clarity. That's precision. That's how goals should be. But here's what most people do with their lives. They say things like, "I want to be successful." What does that mean? "I want to be happy." What does that look like? "I want to make more money." How much more? By when? These are not goals. These are wishes. Wishes don't come true. Goals do. The tragedy is not that people don't have dreams. Most people have plenty of dreams. The tragedy is that they never turn those dreams into clear, specific, measurable goals. They live their whole lives in the land of someday. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll lose that weight. Someday I'll learn that skill. Someday. It's not a day of the week. Let me share something with you that happened to me many years ago. I was working at a department store, barely getting by, living paycheck to paycheck like most people do. I had dreams. Oh yes, I had big dreams. I wanted to be rich. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to travel the world. But these were just wishes floating around in my head like clouds in the sky. Then one day I met a man who changed my perspective completely. He asked me a simple question that shook me to my core. He said, "Jim, what do you want?" I started to give him the usual answer, "Well, I want to be successful," and he stopped me right there. He said, "No, what do you specifically want? If I gave you everything you wanted, what would that look like? How would you know when you got it?" That question changed everything for me. For the first time in my life, I had to get specific. I had to get clear. I couldn't hide behind vague wishes anymore. I had to define success. I had to put numbers to my dreams. I had to set deadlines for my goals. So I went home that night and I did something I had never done before. I wrote down exactly what I wanted. Not what I hoped for, not what would be nice to have, but what I specifically, measurably, definitely wanted. I wrote down that I wanted to make $50,000, 0 cents, in the next 5 years. Now that might not sound like much to you today, but back then I was making about $3,000, 0 cents a year. This was a huge goal for me. But here's the key. I didn't just write down that I wanted to make $50,000, 0 cents. I wrote down how I was going to make it. I wrote down what skills I needed to develop. I wrote down what books I needed to read. I wrote down what kind of person I needed to become. I made my goals so clear that there was no confusion about what I needed to do. And you know what happened? Within 6 years, I had not only reached that goal, I had far exceeded it. But it wasn't magic. It wasn't luck. It was clarity. When you get crystal clear on what you want, your mind starts working for you instead of against you. You see, your mind is like a heat-seeking missile, but it needs a target. When you give it a clear target, it will find a way to hit it. When you don't give it a clear target, it wanders around aimlessly, hitting nothing. Most people's goals are like this: I want to lose weight. Your mind hears that and says, okay, how much weight by when? What's the plan? But there are no answers. So your mind gives up. It has nothing specific to work toward. But when you say, I want to lose 20 pounds by December 31st by exercising 4 times a week and eating 1,800 calories a day, now your mind has something to work with. Now it can start creating strategies. Now it can start noticing opportunities. Now it can start moving you toward your goal. The human mind is the most sophisticated goal-seeking mechanism ever created, but it needs clear instructions. It needs specific targets. It needs definite outcomes. Give it these things and it will amaze you with what it can accomplish. Here's another thing about clear goals. They eliminate the confusion that keeps most people stuck. When you know exactly what you want, decision-making becomes easy. Every choice you face can be measured against your goal. Does this help me reach my goal, or doesn't it? Does this move me closer to what I want or further away? When your goals are unclear, every decision becomes a struggle. You don't know what to choose because you don't know where you're going. You're like a person trying to pack for a trip without knowing the destination. Do you pack for the beach or the mountains? For summer or winter? You can't decide because you don't have enough information. But when you know exactly where you're going, packing becomes simple. You know what to take and what to leave behind. You know what serves your purpose and what doesn't. Life becomes simpler when your goals are clear. I've seen people spend years, even decades, spinning their wheels because they were never clear on what they really wanted. They jumped from opportunity to opportunity, from idea to idea, from plan to plan, never making real progress because they never had a real destination. Don't let that be you. Don't spend your life wandering in the wilderness of maybe and someday. Get clear, get specific, get definite about what you want. Your goals should be so clear that if I asked a stranger to read them, they would know exactly what you're trying to accomplish. If your goal is to start a business, what kind of business? Selling what? To whom? By when? How much revenue do you want to generate in the first year? The second year? If your goal is to get in shape, what does that mean? How much do you want to weigh? What size clothes do you want to wear? How fast do you want to run a mile? What do you want to be able to do physically that you can't do now? If your goal is to improve your relationships, which relationships? How specifically do you want them to improve? What will you do differently? What will the improved relationship look like? The clearer you are, the more power you give to your goals. Vague goals have no power. They're like trying to cut wood with a dull saw. You can work all day and make very little progress, but sharp goals, clear goals, specific goals, they cut through obstacles like a laser through paper. And here's something beautiful about clear goals. They become magnetic. When you know exactly what you want, you start attracting the people, opportunities, and resources you need to achieve it. It's not mystical, it's practical. When you're clear on your target, you notice things that can help you hit it. When you're unclear, you miss opportunities that are right in front of you. Think about when you're shopping for a particular car. Suddenly you start seeing that car everywhere. It's not that there are more of them on the road. It's that your mind is now programmed to notice them. The same thing happens with clear goals. When you program your mind with a specific target, it starts noticing ways to hit that target. This is why successful people seem to have all the luck. They don't have more luck, they have more clarity. And clarity creates what looks like luck to everyone else. So let me ask you this. What do you want? Not what do you hope for, not what would be nice, but what do you specifically, measurably, definitively want? If you can't answer that question with precision, then that's the first thing you need to work on. Because until you're clear on where you're going, you'll never get there. The power of crystal clear goals is waiting for you to claim it. But you have to do the work of getting clear. You have to take the time to define what you want. You have to be willing to be specific instead of general, definite instead of vague, precise instead of fuzzy. When you do this, when you get crystal clear on your goals, something magical happens. Confusion disappears, doubt fades, uncertainty vanishes. You know what you want, you know why you want it, and you can see the path to get it. That's when your real life begins. Now let me tell you about the real enemy of success. It's not failure, it's not rejection, it's not even laziness. The real enemy of success is confusion. Confusion will kill your dreams faster than any external obstacle ever could. You see, when you're confused about what you want, you become paralyzed. You can't move forward because you don't know which direction forward is. You stand at the crossroads of life, looking down multiple paths, unable to choose any of them because you're not sure where any of them lead. I've watched this happen to thousands of people over the years. Bright people, talented people, hard-working people, but they never reach their potential because they never get clear on what they're trying to achieve. They spend their energy in 10 different directions and wonder why they're not making progress in any direction. Confusion is like having static on your radio. You know there's a station there, you can almost hear the music, but it's all mixed up with noise. You can't enjoy the song because you can't hear it clearly. That's what happens to your life when your goals are unclear. You know there's something good trying to come through, but it's all mixed up with confusion. Let me give you an example. I knew a man who wanted to start his own business. That was his dream. But he could never decide what kind of business. One week he was excited about real estate. The next week it was selling insurance. Then he heard about network marketing and got all fired up about that. Then someone told him about importing goods from overseas. For 5 years he jumped from one idea to another. He bought books on real estate. He got licensed to sell insurance. He joined 3 different network marketing companies. He researched importing electronics from China. And after 5 years, you know where he was? Right back where he started. Working for someone else, no closer to his dream than when he began. Why? Because he was confused. He never got clear on what he really wanted. He wanted to own a business, but he never defined what success looked like for him. He never asked himself the hard questions. What kind of lifestyle do I want this business to provide? How much money do I want to make? What am I passionate about? What am I good at? What problem do I want to solve? Without clear answers to these questions, he was like a person trying to hit a target in the dark. He was shooting arrows, but he couldn't see what he was aiming at, so he kept missing over and over again. A scattered mind produces scattered results. This is one of the most important principles you'll ever learn. When your thinking is all over the place, your results will be all over the place. When your goals are unclear, your progress will be unclear. When your direction is uncertain, your destination will be uncertain. Most people live their entire lives in this state of confusion. They have a little bit of success here, a little bit there, but nothing substantial. Nothing that really moves them forward toward the life they want. They're like a gardener who plants a little bit of everything but never focuses long enough on any one crop to get a real harvest. And here's what's tragic about this. The energy they waste being confused could have made them incredibly successful if they had just focused it in one clear direction. They work just as hard as successful people, sometimes harder. But they don't get the results because their effort is scattered. Think about the sun. The sun's rays are powerful, but when they're scattered, they just warm things up a little. But when you focus those same rays through a magnifying glass, they can start a fire. They can burn through paper. They can even burn through wood. Same energy, but focused instead of scattered. That's the difference between confused people and clear people. Clear people focus their energy like a laser beam. Confused people scatter their energy like a light bulb. Both are working, both are producing energy, but only one is making real progress. I remember talking to a woman who had been trying to lose weight for 10 years. 10 years. And she was frustrated because nothing seemed to work. So I asked her to tell me about her approach. Here's what she told me. She said, well, I tried the low-carb diet for a few weeks, but it was too restrictive. Then I tried the low-fat diet, but I was always hungry. Then I heard about intermittent fasting, so I tried that for a month. Then my friend told me about this new workout program, so I started doing that. But then I read an article about yoga being better for weight loss, so I switched to that. Then she went on like this for 10 minutes. 10 years of jumping from one approach to another, never sticking with any one method long enough to see results. She wasn't failing because the methods didn't work. She was failing because she was confused about which method to follow. So I asked her a simple question: what exactly do you want? Not what diet do you want to try, but what do you want your body to look like? How much do you want to weigh? What size clothes do you want to wear? By when? She couldn't add me. After 10 years of trying to lose weight, she had never gotten clear on what success would look like. She just knew she wanted to be thinner and healthier. But those aren't goals. Those are wishes. So we worked together to get her clear. We defined exactly what she wanted. We picked one approach and committed to following it for 6 months. No jumping around, no trying new methods, just one clear plan, followed consistently. And you know what happened? She reached her goal in 4 months. 4 months to accomplish what she couldn't do in 10 years. Why? Because she finally got clear. Confusion doesn't just waste your time, it drains your energy. When you're confused, you spend enormous amounts of mental and emotional energy just trying to figure out what to do. You lie awake at night wondering if you're on the right path. You second guess every decision. You constantly question whether you should change direction. All of that mental energy could be used to actually accomplish your goals, but instead it gets burned up in the fire of confusion. You're like a car spinning its wheels in the mud. The engine is running, you're burning fuel, but you're not moving forward. Clear people don't have this problem. They know where they're going, so they can put all their energy into getting there. They don't waste time and energy wondering what to do. They know what to do. They just do it. And here's another cost of confusion that most people don't realize. Confusion makes you look unprofessional to others. When you are constantly changing direction, constantly trying new things, constantly starting over, people lose confidence in you. They start to see you as flighty, unreliable, someone who doesn't finish what they start. And this reputation follows you. It affects your relationships, your career, your business opportunities. People don't want to invest their time or money in someone who seems confused about what they're doing. But when you're clear about your goals, when you're focused and consistent in your approach, people notice. They see you as someone who knows what they want and how to get it. They want to work with you, invest in you, support you. Clarity not only helps you achieve your goals, it attracts others who can help you achieve them faster. I've seen this happen over and over again. Two people start out at the same place, with the same opportunities, the same resources. One gets clear on what they want and stays focused on achieving it. The other stays confused, constantly changing direction. 5 years later, the clear person has achieved remarkable success. The confused person is still wandering around making excuses about why nothing has worked out for them. The difference isn't talent, it isn't luck, it isn't connections, it's clarity versus confusion. Now, some people think that keeping their options open is smart. They think that if they don't commit to one specific goal, they'll have more opportunities. This is backwards thinking. When you try to keep all doors open, you walk through none of them. Successful people understand that saying yes to one thing means saying no to many other things. And they're okay with that because they'd rather be really successful at one thing than mediocre at many things. But confused people are afraid to close any doors. They're afraid they might miss out on something better. So they keep all their options open and wonder why none of them ever develop into anything significant. Here's what they don't understand. Opportunity doesn't come to people who are sort of interested in sort of everything. Opportunity comes to people who are totally committed to something specific. When you get really clear about what you want and really committed to achieving it, opportunities related to that goal start showing up everywhere. But when you're confused, when you're interested in a little bit of everything but committed to nothing, opportunities pass you by because you're not ready to recognize them or act on them. Confusion also creates what I call the tomorrow trap. When you're not clear about what you want, it's easy to put off taking action. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow after you figure out what you really want to do, but tomorrow never comes because you never do the work of getting clear. I've met people who've been planning to start their business next year for the past 10 years. They've been going to lose weight next month for the past 5 years. They've been going to improve their marriage soon for the past decade. Why don't they take action? Because they're not clear enough about what they want to create a plan, and without a clear plan, action feels overwhelming, so they keep waiting for clarity to strike them like lightning. But clarity doesn't work that way. Clarity comes from making decisions, not from waiting for decisions to make themselves. The cost of confusion compounds over time. Every day you spend confused is a day you're not moving toward your goals. And those days add up to weeks, months, years, even decades. I want you to think about someone you know who has been talking about the same goals for years but never seems to make progress. What's holding them back? I'll bet it's not lack of desire. I'll bet it's not lack of ability. I'll bet it's confusion about what they really want and how to get it. Don't let that be your story. The cost of confusion is too high. It will steal your dreams, waste your time, drain your energy, and leave you with a life of regret. Now that you understand the cost of confusion, let's talk about what makes a goal crystal clear. Because there's a big difference between having a goal and having a clear goal. Most people think they have goals, but what they really have are good intentions mixed with wishful thinking. Your goal has certain characteristics. It's specific, it's measurable, it has a deadline, it's written down, and it's broken into steps. If your goal is missing any of these elements, it's not really a goal. It's just a hope wearing a disguise. Let me start with being specific. Vague goals produce vague results. When you say, I want to be successful, what does that mean? Success to one person might mean making $1 million. To another person, it might mean having more time with family. To someone else, it might mean recognition in their field. You have to define what success means to you. And not just define it, but paint a picture so clear that anyone could look at your life and know whether you've achieved it or not. Instead of saying, I want to be successful in business, say, I want to own a marketing consulting firm that generates $500,000, 0 cents in annual revenue, serves 50 clients, employs 5 people, and allows me to work from my home office 4 days a week. See the difference? The first statement could mean anything. The second statement is so specific that you'd know exactly what to work toward and exactly when you've achieved it. I learned this lesson the hard way early in my career. I set a goal to become wealthy. That was it. That was my goal. And you know what happened? Nothing. Because wealthy doesn't tell you anything useful. How much money is wealthy? By when? Through what means? So I changed my goal. I said I want to have a net worth of $1 million, 0 cents, by age 35 through building and selling businesses. Now I had something to work with. Now I could create a plan. Now I could measure my progress. The second characteristic of a clear goal is that it's measurable. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it, and if you can't manage it, you probably won't achieve it. Let's say your goal is to get in better shape. How will you know when you've achieved that goal? What does better shape look like? Does it mean losing 20 pounds, running a 7-minute mile, bench pressing your body weight, wearing a size 8 dress? You need numbers. You need specific measurements, because without measurements, you're just hoping things will get better. With measurements, you know exactly what better looks like, and you can track your progress toward it. I once worked with a man who wanted to improve his marriage. And that's a worthy goal, but it's not measurable as stated. So we got specific. He decided he wanted to have a 30-minute conversation with his wife every day, take her on a date once a week, and surprise her with something thoughtful once a month. Now he had measurements, he could track whether he was hitting his targets, he could see his progress, and you know what? His marriage did improve dramatically. But it wasn't because of some mysterious force. It was because he got clear about what improvement looked like, and then he measured his progress toward it. The third characteristic of a clear goal is that it has a deadline. Goals without deadlines are just dreams that might happen someday. And someday, as I told you before, is not a day of the week. Deadlines create urgency. They force you to take action. They help you prioritize your time. When you have a deadline, you can work backwards from that date and figure out what you need to do each year, each month, each week, each day to reach your goal on time. Without a deadline, there's no pressure to act. You can always start tomorrow. You can always do it next week. You can always put it off until you feel more ready. But feeling ready is overrated. You'll never feel completely ready. The deadline forces you to start anyway. I remember setting a goal to write my first book. Initially, I just said I want to write a book. That goal sat in my notebook for 2 years without any progress. Then I changed it to, I want to finish writing a 200-page book about personal development by December 31st of this year. Suddenly, everything changed. I had to figure out how many pages I needed to write per month, per week, per day. I had to schedule writing time. I had to say no to other activities that would interfere with my writing deadline. The deadline turned my dream into a project with specific requirements and a specific schedule. The fourth characteristic of a clear goal is that it's written down. There's something magical about writing your goals down on paper. It moves them from the realm of thought into the realm of reality. It makes them real in a way that just thinking about them never can. When you write a goal down, you're making a commitment to yourself. You're saying, this is important enough to me that I'm willing to put it in writing. You're also engaging a different part of your brain. The physical act of writing activates neural pathways that help embed the goal in your memory. But here's what most people do wrong with written goals. They write them once and then forget about them. They stick them in a drawer or bury them in a computer file and never look at them again. That's not how it works. Your written goals should be living documents. You should read them every day. You should carry them with you. You should review them weekly and monthly. You should update them as circumstances change. The act of regularly reviewing your written goals keeps them fresh in your mind and helps your subconscious mind work on achieving them. I've been carrying written goals in my wallet for over 40 years. Not the same goals, of course, but always written goals. Every morning when I get dressed, I see them. Every time I open my wallet, I'm reminded of what I'm working toward. This simple habit has been one of the most powerful success tools I've ever used. The fifth characteristic of a clear goal is that it's broken down into steps. Big goals can feel overwhelming. When you look at a huge objective, it's easy to get discouraged before you even start. But when you break that big goal down into smaller, manageable steps, it becomes achievable. Let's say your goal is to save $50,000, 0 cents for a down payment on a house within 3 years. That might seem impossible when you look at it as one big number. But break it down. $50,000, 0 cents over 3 years is about $16,667, 0 cents per year. That's about $1,389, 0 cents per month. That's about $320, 0 cents per week. That's about $46, 0 cents per day. Now, instead of asking yourself, how can I save $50,000, 0 cents? You're asking, how can I save $46, 0 cents today? That's a much more manageable question. Maybe you skip the expensive coffee and bring lunch from home. Maybe you cancel a subscription you don't really use. Maybe you sell something you don't need. The big goal hasn't changed, but now you have a clear daily action you can take toward achieving it. And when you stack up 365 days of $46, 0 cents savings, you get your $50,000, 0 cents. This is how all big achievements happen. They happen one small step at a time. But you have to identify what those small steps are. You have to break down your big goals into daily action. Most people fail not because their goals are too big, but because they never break them down into small enough pieces to take action on. They look at the whole mountain they need to climb and feel overwhelmed. But if you just focus on taking the next step and then the next step after that, eventually you reach the summit. Now let me tell you something important about goal setting. Your goals should scare you a little bit. If your goals don't make you a little nervous, they're probably too small. You should be setting goals that require you to grow, to learn new things, to become a better version of yourself. But they shouldn't terrify you. If your goals are so big that you can't even imagine achieving them, they're probably too big to be motivating. You need to find that sweet spot where your goals are big enough to inspire you, but specific enough that you can see a path to achieving them. I call this the believable stretch. Your goals should stretch you beyond where you are now, but they should still be believable to you. If you don't believe you can achieve your goal, you won't put in the effort required to achieve it. Here's another important point about clear goals. They should be your goals, not someone else's goals for you. Too many people set goals based on what their parents want for them or what society expects of them or what their friends think they should do. But goals that aren't truly yours won't motivate you when things get tough. And things will get tough. There will be obstacles. There will be setbacks. There will be times when you want to quit. The only thing that will keep you going during those times is the burning desire to achieve something that really matters to you. So when you're setting your goals, ask yourself, is this what I really want, or is this what I think I should want? Is this my definition of success or someone else's definition? Am I setting this goal to please myself or to please others? Your goals should also be aligned with your values. If your goal requires you to compromise your integrity or neglect your family or ignore your health, it's not a good goal. You might achieve it, but you won't be happy with the cost. The best goals are ones that, when achieved, make you feel proud of who you became in the process of achieving them. They're goals that require you to develop qualities and skills that serve you for the rest of your life. Let me give you a framework for creating crystal clear goals. I call it the SMART framework, but I'm going to add a few elements to make it even more powerful. First, make your goal specific. Exactly what do you want to achieve? Paint a detailed picture. Second, make it measurable. How will you know when you've achieved it? What are the numbers? Third, make it achievable. Is this something you can realistically accomplish with effort and commitment? Fourth, make it relevant. Does this goal matter to you? Is it aligned with your values and your vision for your life? Fifth, make it time-bound. When exactly do you want to achieve this goal? But I want to add three more elements. Make your goal written down where you can see it regularly. Make it broken down into specific action steps. And make it reviewed regularly so you can track your progress and make adjustments. When you follow this framework, you'll have goals that are so clear that confusion can't exist. You'll know exactly what you want, exactly how to get it, and exactly when you want to achieve it. That's when the magic starts to happen. Now that you know how to create crystal clear goals, let me tell you how to build a system that keeps you focused on them every single day. Because having clear goals is just the beginning. The real challenge is staying clear when life starts throwing distractions at you. And life will throw distractions at you. Count on it. Every day you'll face dozens of opportunities to get sidetracked from what really matters. Every day you'll encounter people and situations that want to pull your attention away from your goals. If you don't have a system for maintaining your clarity, you'll end up just like everyone else, wandering around, wondering where your focus went. The first element of your clarity system is a daily review process. Every morning, before you do anything else, you need to remind yourself what you're working toward. I'm talking about a deliberate, intentional review of your written goals. Most people start their day by checking email or looking at their phone or watching the news. Big mistake. When you start your day by reacting to other people's priorities, you lose control of your own day. You become a victim of circumstances instead of a creator of circumstances. Instead, start your day by reviewing your goals. Read them out loud. Visualize what achieving them will look like. Remind yourself why they matter to you. This simple 5-minute practice will program your mind to look for opportunities and take actions that move you toward your goals throughout the day. I've been doing this for decades, and I can tell you it works. When you start your day focused on your goals, you make different decisions, you notice different opportunities, you take different actions. Your whole day becomes aligned with what you're trying to achieve. The second element is a weekly planning session. Every week, sit down and ask yourself, what do I need to accomplish this week to move closer to my goals? What are the most important tasks? What are the biggest priorities? Don't just make a to-do list. Make a goal-focused action list. Everything on that list should directly contribute to achieving one of your major goals. If it doesn't contribute to your goals, it shouldn't be on your priority list. Most people fill their weeks with busy work. They do lots of things, but they don't do the right things. They mistake motion for progress. But motion without direction is just wasted energy. Your weekly planning session ensures that you're always working on what matters most. It keeps you from getting caught up in the urgent but unimportant activities that consume most people's time. The third element is learning to say no. This might be the most important skill you ever develop. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to something important. Every time you say yes to a distraction, you're saying no to your goals. You have to become protective of your time and energy. You have to become selective about what you allow into your life. Not every opportunity is worth pursuing. Not every request deserves your attention. Not every invitation needs to be accepted. When someone asks you to do something, ask yourself, does this help me achieve my goals? If the answer is no, then your answer should be no. It's that simple. But most people can't do this because they're afraid of disappointing others. They'd rather disappoint themselves than disappoint someone else. Here's what you need to understand. Successful people disappoint others regularly. They have to. Because they're so focused on their own goals that they can't say yes to everything else. And guess what? The world doesn't end. The people who really care about you will understand. The people who don't understand probably aren't the people you should be worried about anyway. The fourth element is creating an environment that supports your clarity. Your environment is constantly influencing your thoughts and actions. If your environment is cluttered and chaotic, your thinking will be cluttered and chaotic. If your environment is organized and purposeful, your thinking will be organized and purposeful. Look at your workspace. Does it remind you of your goals? Do you have visual cues that keep you focused on what matters? Or is it cluttered with distractions and reminders of unfinished projects? Look at your home. Is it set up to support the person you're trying to become? Or is it set up to support the person you used to be? Look at what you read, what you watch, what you listen to. Is it filling your mind with thoughts that support your goals? Or is it filling your mind with negativity, gossip, and distractions? Your environment should be designed to make it easy to stay focused on your goals and hard to get distracted from them. Remove the things that pull you away from what matters. The fifth element is surrounding yourself with people who support your clarity. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. The people you spend time with have enormous influence over your thoughts, your attitudes, and your actions. If you're surrounded by people who are confused about what they want, you'll tend to be confused too. If you're surrounded by people who are always changing direction, you'll tend to change direction too. If you're surrounded by people who make excuses for why they can't achieve their goals, you'll tend to make excuses too. But if you surround yourself with people who are clear about what they want and committed to achieving it, you'll be influenced by their clarity and commitment. You'll start thinking like they think. You'll start acting like they act. You'll start achieving like they achieve. This doesn't mean you have to abandon old friends, But it does mean you need to be intentional about who you spend your time with. Seek out people who are working toward goals similar to yours. Join groups and organizations where goal-oriented people gather. Find mentors who can guide you and peers who can support you. The sixth element is regular progress reviews. At least once a month, sit down and honestly assess your progress toward your goals. Are you on track? Are you ahead of schedule? Are you falling behind? What's working, what's not working? What adjustments do you need to make? Most people avoid these reviews because they're afraid of what they'll find. They're afraid they'll discover they're not making progress. But avoiding the truth doesn't change the truth. If you're not making progress, you need to know so you can do something about it. These reviews aren't meant to make you feel bad. They're meant to keep you on track. They're meant to help you identify problems before they become major obstacles. They're meant to help you celebrate wins and learn from setbacks. When you build these 6 elements into your life, you create a clarity system that's stronger than any distraction. You create a framework that keeps you focused on what matters most, even when everything around you is trying to pull you off course. But here's the key. You have to work your system consistently. You can't do it when you feel like it. You can't do it only when things are going well. You have to do it every day, every week, every month, whether you feel like it or not. Consistency is what separates the people who achieve their goals from the people who just dream about achieving their goals. Anyone can be clear for a day or a week, but it takes a system to stay clear for months and years. And that's how long it takes to achieve anything worthwhile. Let me tell you what happens when your goals become so clear that they become part of who you are. When you reach this level of clarity, something extraordinary occurs. You stop being someone who has goals and start being someone who lives their goals. Your goals stop being something you're trying to achieve and start being something you simply are. This is what I call living with unshakable purpose. When you reach this point, confusion becomes impossible because your purpose is so deeply embedded in your identity that questioning it would be like questioning your own name. I want you to think about people you know who live this way. Maybe it's a friend who's so passionate about their business that they never seem to struggle with motivation. Maybe it's someone who's so committed to their health that eating well and exercising isn't a battle for them, it's just who they are. Maybe it's a person who's so dedicated to their family that putting family first isn't a sacrifice, it's a natural expression of their values. These people have moved beyond goal setting into goal living. Their objectives haven't just been written down, they've been written into their souls. And when your goals live at that level, achieving them becomes not just likely, but inevitable. Here's what happens when you live with this kind of clarity. First, you develop an unshakable confidence that comes from knowing exactly where you're going. Most people walk through life with a nagging uncertainty about whether they're on the right path. They constantly second-guess their decisions. They worry about whether they should be doing something different. But when your goals are crystal clear and deeply embedded in your identity, this uncertainty disappears. You know you're on the right path because this is your path. You chose it deliberately. You've committed to it completely. You're not wondering if you should be somewhere else because you know this is exactly where you're supposed to be. This confidence is magnetic. People are drawn to individuals who know where they're going. They want to follow them, work with them, invest in them, learn from them. Clarity creates authority, and authority creates opportunity. Second, when your goals become part of your identity, the right opportunities start appearing everywhere. It's not magic, it's focus. When you're absolutely clear about what you want, your mind becomes a powerful filtering system. It automatically notices things that can help you and ignores things that can't. But it goes deeper than that. When people see that you're totally committed to something specific, they start bringing opportunities to you. They think of you when relevant situations arise. They recommend you for projects that align with your goals. They introduce you to people who can help you. I've seen this happen countless times. A person gets crystal clear about their direction and suddenly the world seems to conspire to help them get there. Coincidences happen. The right person calls at the right time. The perfect opportunity presents itself just when they need it. It's not really coincidence, it's the natural result of living with clear purpose. When you know exactly what you want, you create a magnetic field that attracts everything you need to achieve it. Third, clear goals create what I call the ripple effect. When you live with unshakable purpose, you don't just change your own life. You change the lives of everyone around you. Your clarity gives others permission to get clear about their own goals. Your commitment inspires others to make their own commitments. Your success shows others what's possible for them. I've watched this happen in families, in businesses, in communities. One person gets really clear about what they want and starts living that clarity every day. Soon their spouse starts setting clearer goals. Their children start thinking more seriously about their futures. Their co-workers start taking their own dreams more seriously. Clarity is contagious. Purpose is inspiring. When people see someone living with absolute conviction, it awakens something in them. It reminds them that they too can choose a direction and commit to it completely. Fourth, when your goals become part of your identity, achieving them stops feeling like work and starts feeling like self-expression. You're not forcing yourself to take action toward your goals. You're simply being yourself, and being yourself naturally moves you toward what you want. This is when goal achievement becomes effortless. Not because it doesn't require effort, but because the effort feels natural and enjoyable. You're like a river flowing downhill. You're following your natural course, and momentum carries you forward. Most people fight against their goals. They have to force themselves to take action. They struggle with motivation. They battle resistance. But when your goals are truly aligned with who you are, action becomes automatic. You don't have to force yourself to work toward your goals any more than you have to force yourself to breathe. Now, let me challenge you with this truth. Everything I've shared with you means nothing unless you act on it. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. Understanding without implementation is just intellectual exercise. You have a choice to make right now. You can listen to these words and nod your head and feel inspired for a moment, and then go back to living the same confused, unfocused life you've been living. Or you can decide that today is the day you get crystal clear about what you want and start building the system to achieve it. Here's what I want you to do. As soon as you can, sit down with a piece of paper and write down 3 goals that are important to you. But don't write them the way most people write goals. Write them with crystal clarity. Make them specific, measurable, time-bound, and broken down into action steps. Then, starting tomorrow morning, begin your daily review process. Read those goals every morning. Let them program your mind for the day ahead. Begin your weekly planning sessions. Start saying no to things that don't serve your goals. Create an environment that supports your clarity. Surround yourself with people who share your commitment to purposeful living. Do this consistently for 90 days and you'll be amazed at what happens. You'll start to see opportunities you never noticed before. You'll start taking actions you never thought you could take. You'll start making progress you never thought possible. But more importantly, you'll start becoming the person you were meant to be. You'll stop being someone who dreams about a better life and start being someone who creates a better life. You'll stop being confused about your direction and start living with unshakable purpose. The time for confusion is over. The time for clarity has come. Your goals are waiting for you to claim them. Your dreams are waiting for you to pursue them. Your future is waiting for you to create it. Be so clear on your goals that confusion can't exist. Start today, start now. Your life of purpose begins with your next decision.